Today is Tuesday, September 6th, and you should be reading 2 Kings 18 and 19, 2 Chronicles 32, Psalm 67, and 1 Corinthians 9. What a blessing of various passages. And today we want to focus on 2 Kings and the narrative that goes on there with King Hezekiah. He was a king beginning at age 25, a young man, and he had quite the reign. But it starts out with he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Pretty exciting when you hear this, because you know that the king is going to do what he should do most of the time. It says King Hezekiah trusted the Lord, the God of Israel. He trusted him. It also talks about this. He obeyed God, and but then you see that in Samaria, in chapter 18, Samaria began to not listen, not obey, and it's there's a consequence from the Syrian king that comes about. And in verse 12, it says, "This happened because they had not obeyed the Lord their God, but had violated his covenant." God has a covenant with his people, a promise, a gift that he has given them, that if you do this, I will do this. He promises to take care of them when they listen and obey him. He wants obedience out of us. It continues in the story. The king of Assyria is not a good guy, and he does all kinds of things to the people of Israel. But he sends some messengers to talk to Hezekiah and his commanders, and they're talking out there where the people of Israel can hear them, like up on the wall, and people surrounding him. He starts yelling where they can hear him. He says, "If you say to me, 'We are depending on the Lord our God,' isn't the one whose the high places and altars Hezekiah removed, saying to Judah and Jerusalem, 'You must worship before this altar in Jerusalem'?" He's not talking. He's saying untrue things. And so then he starts to bring down a thing that the people are going to not follow Hezekiah. He's trying to get them to hear what he's saying, so they'll rebel against King Hezekiah. Well, fortunately, this doesn't happen. But Hezekiah trusts in the Lord all through that situation. The Assyrian king is wanting to demand his obedience from the Israelites, and so he says, he is sending to ridicule the living God. He is making all kinds of accusations against God, and so we see that God rewards those who obey him. And he says, I will make him want to return to his own country, and there I will cut him down with the sword. And that's what happens to the king of Assyria. And so Hezekiah goes and he prays, and his prayer is recorded here. It says, "Then when he went up to the temple of the Lord and spread it out before the Lord, and he prayed before this letter, asking God for guidance." So he's asking God to deliver his people as he's obedient to him. And there's so much things there that we see God saying. We see God calling blessings on Hezekiah and his kingdom because of Hezekiah's obedience. And we see at the end of the story there that this king of Assyria is put to death, actually by his own sons. He's killed with the sword. God wants obedience out of us. He wants to have obedience from us and a humble heart. If in our reading today, when you go over to 2 Chronicles and reading in that, you see more of Hezekiah's life, and that he was a guy who loved God, but he didn't always do exactly what was right. I mean, he was a man, just like you and me, and he made some mistakes, but he trusted God, and he was obedient to his calling as a leader. You're a leader. If you're a disciple of Jesus, you are a leader. You are a leader of other people around you, whether it's your own children, your family, your neighbors, your co-workers. And God wants you to be obedient to his call. He wants you to lead others to think about him. And so wherever you go, whatever you face, you're a leader in showing how to react, how to be leading others in the way of the Lord. And so I want to challenge you with that, to remember, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Be obedient no matter what. And as we surrender our lives to him in obedience, he will reward us. And until we see you again, church, you are sent.